Hey everybody, Dan Schinder here on Drum Talk TV. Thanks for joining us on this. What's going to be a very fun episode. Unless you just arrived here from Mars, well, even maybe if you just arrived here from Mars, you've probably seen a clip flying around the internet from the Louisville Leopard Percussionists from Louisville, Kentucky here in the United States of not just the wonderful children and the director that you see on the screen with me, but a lot of other kids playing a killer Led Zeppelin medley, all on percussion instruments. And I'm very happy to have Diane Downs here with Kelsey Lee, who is the assistant director, and some of the performers. So before we get to everybody, let me show you what we're referring to, just in case you got here from Mars an hour ago and have not seen this yet. Check this out. This is beautiful.
We had 7 to 14-year-olds, but the kids on that song they're 9, 10, 11, and 12.
Okay, great. And it's just wonderful. So, Diane, let's start with you, and then we'll talk to Kelsey, and then we'll introduce all the kids and talk to them. First of all, great work that you're doing, especially from the standpoint that it's all percussion, it's all youngsters, but I got to ask two things first. Where did the name Louisville Leopard Percussionists come from? That's the first question, and then I'll ask you the next one after that.
Okay, well, in 1993, I was teaching 2nd and 3rd grade, and I was digging through a closet looking for bulletin board paper, and I found a bunch of instruments in the closet, so I went and got the class to help me haul them down the hall, and I found, you want to do a concert? Okay, so we were going to do a concert. Worked up some tunes and played a PTA meeting. I told the kids every band has to have a name. So our team, at the time, we were the cat team. My class was the leopard class. So we came up with the fabulous Leopard Percussionists. Oh. So that was when I was teaching elementary school, when Kelsey was a little girl in my class. Oh. And then when we changed to a nonprofit community group, we just switched out fabulous and put in Louisville Leopard Percussionists. We kept the leopard part. That's great. Now, my next question is, and we'll talk about some of the other material that you've performed and recorded, but how did the Led Zeppelin medley come about? Are you a huge Led Zeppelin fan? I like Zeppelin. How can you not like Zeppelin? Exactly. It's great stuff. So we try to introduce the kids to all different kinds of music, and this is an important part of our music history. So I was just listening to some Zeppelin tunes and trying to figure out which ones would work together. And Cashmere in the Ocean, the tempo's about the same, so, we'll throw those in. And plus, those are very well-known tunes.
Right.
And then you got to have some kind of power tune for the end, so that's why we went with Immigrant Song.
Great. Now, starting with Kelsey, and then moving on behind and around with Raina and Odyssey and Brian and David, I want everyone to chime in. What was your first reaction when Diane said, and I don't know if they call you Diane or Ms. Downs, so
They call me Diane.
Okay, great. What was your first reaction when she said, "Hey, let's do a Zeppelin medley"? Starting with Kelsey.
I was so excited. I mean, any power tunes that we have, I mean, we're all ready to go as soon as we hear her say exactly what we're doing. We're ready to jump in it and start working on it.
Great. And Raina, what did you think? Were you even familiar with the music at all?
Yes, I was definitely familiar with it.
Oh, great.
Because my entire family has a whole bunch of different sections of music that we listen to, and a lot of parts of my family were in orchestras and everything, and so I'm familiar with all kinds of music, and I was actually excited.
That's great. And how old are you again? I'm sorry.
10.
You're 10, and you're in 5th grade?
Yes.
Okay. And Odyssey, how about you? What did you think?
Well, I was still excited, even though I'm not in the Leopards anymore, and I was still excited for them because I get to listen. So It was fun. I thought it was great.
Great. Had you heard any of the music before, or were you learning it and hearing it for the first time?
I was learning it and hearing it for the first time.
Okay, great. And are you in? Don't tell me you're in 5th grade. Also, you're in 6th grade, right?
No, I'm in 7th grade.
You're in 7th grade. You're 14.
I'm 13.
You're 13. That's what I said. And and you also work with the Leopards during their summer camp?
Yeah.
Okay, great. We'll come back and talk about that in a little bit. That's great. Brian, what was your reaction?
Well, I wasn't too familiar with the group, but when we started learning it and practicing it, and I started liking it, so I was pretty excited once I began to get familiar with the songs.
And did you... well, I'll ask this question after David chimes in, then I'll ask everybody. David, what did you think? Did you think, okay, Diane has finally lost her mind. This is cool, but she's lost her mind.
I thought, wow, Diane has finally gained her mind. I was really excited to play Zeppelin to help out my buddies with learning this new music, and this is the kind of music, some of the music that I enjoy. So I was really excited to start playing.
That is really cool. That's great. So let me ask all of you, did you hear, especially for those of you who had never really been familiar with the music, did you hear the original recordings before, during, or after you learned your parts the way the Leopards played it?
Well, we usually listen to the song first, and then we all start to figure out the notes.
Okay.
Yeah, we progress from there.
Okay. How about anybody else want to chime in on that?
You go. Okay. So I actually, when I heard we were doing it, I actually downloaded the songs onto my devices. So then I think every day until Leopard started after camp, I listened to all the songs.
That is great. I am personally a student of drumming and percussion who learned my whole life. I learned best by ear. I was able to read music and all of that, but I'm always best reading by ear. And in fact, I never understood, when I played in orchestra and concert band, I played timpani, first chair snare. I never understood why the rest of the band or orchestra had to read sheet music, because after we played it a few times, I just memorized it. And the director used to yell at me because I'd be playing and just kind of looking around, watching the horns and the woodwinds, and he'd say, "Danny, why aren't you reading the music?" But I was playing it perfectly. I've always learned by ear. So I can relate to that. Good research, Brian. How about you, Odyssey?
Well, when we first listened to it, I was there, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is cool. So I went home and I listened to it, and I liked the music, and so when we got there and they started playing it, I was like, yeah, I like this.
That's great. And Raina?
My stepdad has all the CDs of Led Zeppelin, like almost all of them.
Wait, first of all, give your stepdad a hug from me for that.
So we listen to that kind of music all the time in the car every day. He made a CD actually with those 3 songs on them in order, so I listen to it every day on the way to school and home from school.
Oh, that is great. That's so cool. And so, Diane, was there any charts or written music for this?
Well, the way we do our songs, it's a group effort. I just got the piano sheet music for the songs, and one of our assistants, Brittany Lee, she took the kids in the back in sections and taught them just like the melody players and then the bass players, and then we call it the chunk part. That's anything that's not melody or bass is called a chunk part. And then Meg Samples, our other teacher, she worked on the drum parts, and then we all get together and start putting the song together, and then everybody kind of throws in their 2 cents. We need to do this here, we need to add this, put dynamics here, throw in cymbals here.
Wow.
So we don't really have anything formal written down. It's just kind of a group effort. Let's just figure out this tune. And the kids have input too. David is really good at noticing things and just saying, I think it would work better if we did this, or this needs to happen here. And, you know, it's their group too. They get input. You know, they want it to be good.
Yeah.
So we listen to them.
No, I love that story, and what really resonates with me personally is that Led Zeppelin, because of their amazing, legendary catalog and the legacy of their music, they're one of those bands who has had portions, and sometimes big portions, of their body of music covered and paid tribute to in many different ways. There's bluegrass Led Zeppelin music out there. There's completely symphonic Led Zeppelin music out there. And what you did with your version makes sense now that I hear the story you just told, is that a band with music such as theirs that is so identifiable, there are so many little nuances to the music and the way it's played, because it's like I say all the time, anybody can play the math of a song. Anyone can play, if you're playing drum set, put the beats where John Bonham, for example, put the beats in that song. But to play the signature sound and style and really speak his language is a whole different thing. And I listened to these recordings very carefully, and I've been a huge Led Zeppelin fan since I was 7 years old. And these nuances were captured. I mean, you folks did a really, really great job of interpreting it without really reinterpreting it in your own way and completely losing, you know, the spirit of the original recordings. So I know that was a mouthful, but I hope you understand that the real underlying message in that is just really a great job of representing the music, but with a completely different genre of music. It's exciting to me. I think it's wonderful.
That's the way we teach all of our songs. We don't have them read the music. We have them feel it and hear it, because it's music, and that's what you do with music.
Right. That's really cool. Let's talk a little bit about, we'll start with Diane, and then we'll go to Kelsey, and then Odyssey regarding the summer camp. Let's talk more about what the Louisville Leopard Percussionists really is. Is it something that youth can come to after school? Is it on the weekends? Is it only during the summer? In essence, describe briefly what the program consists of.
Well, we have a summer camp each July, and it's open to 2nd through 5th graders.
Okay.
And our older kids, did all of you guys teach camp last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
You didn't? You must have been playing tennis or something. But
Yeah.
yeah. Our older kids come and help teach camp. They're assistant teachers at camp. And it's just a week-long experience. We have drum set class and hand drumming and mallet class and toys, you know, just all the little how to play triangle and woodblock and Irish lap and all that fun stuff. And then we'll put it together and have a show and tell for the parents at the end of the camp. But what the older kids do while they're teaching camp, we have to get new members to bring into the group, so they kind of get to pick their replacements. They watch the kids, the little ones, the first graders, the ones that are going into 2nd grade. They watch them and they're like, I like this kid. This kid looks like they'll fit. Like Raina, she got in the group because all the older kids thought she was really weird. So, you know, I didn't know if she could play or not. It's like, okay, we'll take the weird girl.
That's how I got chosen. Just so you know, that's how I got chosen to be the CEO of Drum Talk TV, because they thought I was weird.
There you go. See, but that's kind of the way our group is. It's okay to be different and strange and weird because we're all kind of like that.
Weird gets you places.
That's right. That's right. As long as it doesn't get you to weird places, you know, you want to be careful with that.
But after camp, then we start rehearsing. When school starts, we start rehearsing again. We've got the beginner group made up of 2nd and 3rd graders, and then our advanced group is 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. And when we throw them out of the group in 6th grade and they don't want to leave, like Odyssey, who will never leave, we're going to end up hiring her one day.
That's great.
Yeah, oh, definitely. But the ones that don't want to leave, we built a steel drum group, and they get to stay in steel drums until 9th grade. And then we had one girl, Carly, that she had finished up, okay, it's time for you to leave, and she just never stopped coming. You know, I'm looking over and she's still playing, and now she's a senior in high school. It's like, all right, that's cool, you know, you can keep playing. So some of them don't ever leave. So, like Kelsey.
That's great. Before we go to Kelsey, I want to ask all the kids something at the same time. Is everybody, if you don't mind me asking, if this isn't too personal, if it is, you don't have to answer, or I'll just edit this part out, but is everybody doing okay in regular school? Do y'all do pretty well? Yeah? Okay, good. Good, because you know what we've all learned. I mean, anybody that's been in touch with music in any way, especially if you've ever taken lessons or being connected with music in school, is that anyone, not just kids and children, but adults, anyone who studies music typically develops better steady habits, there's a discipline involved, things like that, and typically do well in school. So it's good to hear all that. Great. How about you, Kelsey? Can tell us a little bit about how you fit in and give us your perspective of being a young child in the beginning, being part of the Leopards, and now being where you are as the assistant director.
It's incredible being in their shoes and kind of walking the path that they've walked and learning the way that we teach them, and then going to middle school and high school and then focusing on all the technical aspects of reading music and how to hold sticks properly, and then being able to come back to Leopards as an assistant director and teach them every tiny little thing that they could be learning on a middle school and high school level. So these kids really are pushed, and we do expect the best from them, and we teach them exactly how they should be learning from the beginning. It's not like a kid-proof way that we're teaching them. We are teaching them like anybody else should be learning.
That's great. There's no insulation and there's no sheltering going on here, right?
No, and especially I focus on hand drumming and the Latin kind of part of music with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I really expect them, when I'm teaching them bass tones or open tones and slap tones, I'm really going to push them until, they're starting to really get the technical part of the conga drum.
That's great. And how, of all the student body there, what percentage learn more than one or two percussion instruments, and what percentage learn most of the percussion instruments you have there? Because as you mentioned, I know you have hand drums, you have xylophone, you have marimba, you have drum set. We saw in the video other kids playing, setups with just maybe a floor tom and a cymbal. What is sort of the mix, if you will, of what most of the kids or some of the kids learn?
Each kid learns every instrument.
Oh, wow.
Every instrument, they learn how to play all the instruments, and it starts with summer camp. They go through each class. We have a drum set class, a hand drum class, the accessories, the smaller instruments, how to play a güiro, how to play a wood block properly or a cowbell properly. And then they have marimba class, and Diane teaches them how to solo. She teaches them about scales, and so they learn everything of every instrument.
I need to be a Leopard. I need to learn all this stuff. This is real. Yeah, I would love to. This is really amazing stuff. Do you folks ever bring clinicians in, like have guest teachers do some sort of master class or speaking or anything like that?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Who's our last one?
Giovanni Hidalgo stopped by.
Okay.
We've had Bernard Woma. A long time ago, I think when you were little, Evelyn Glennie came.
Oh, wow.
So we've had people come through, but we've gotten to play with a bunch of people too. We played with Ndugu Chancellor. We just played with him a couple of weeks ago. Ruben Alvarez. When a while back, we got to play Take 5 with Joe Murillo.
Wow.
At the time, the kids were, who's that? Don't worry about it. You'll get it later. And as they grow up, they get it. And Louis Belson, we played with him, and he wrote a song for us. And we played with Zorro, Dave Samuels, a lot of different people. Victor Mendoza. We played with Jim James, My Morning Jacket. We were their warm-up band. We were the warm-up band for Chick Corea, Jack DeJohnette, and Eddie Gomez in New York City for our HBO show. So
that's great.
We've had some great opportunities.
Great. We'll talk privately later, but I'd like to refer some specific people to you to maybe do like master classes there and stuff on the premises. But let's talk more about summer camp. Honesty, tell us about your experience of growing up through the program as a young Leopard and then becoming like a summer camp counselor. Would that be the right title?
Teacher.
Okay.
Assistant teacher.
Okay, talk about your experience the same way Kelsey did, from being a Leopard to then growing up a bit to the point where now you can be an assistant teacher. Talk about that experience and the transition and evolution of it.
Well, when I first came to summer camp, I was like, what is a cowbell? I was like, I didn't know what this was. And they taught me how to play it.
And wait, where's the cow? Where is the cow? I have the bell. Where's the cow?
I didn't know what any of the stuff was. But then they showed me how to play it, and they showed me what everything was, and I was like, this is really cool. I want to do this for a long time. And growing up through the Leopards, I got to do a lot of stuff that never would have been able to do if I wasn't in Leopards, and just helping out with the kids. I think kids are really cool. Helping out with the kids, they're weird and they're fun, and it's just great.
That's awesome. Kids are cool and great until you have kids of your own. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. My wife and I have 8 kids between the two of us, so I know all about kids, believe me. That's such a great story. You mentioned the STEEL program earlier. I want to cut in a montage of a few other pieces, and I'm sorry, I have to put my glasses on to read a quick note. I know the STEEL band is playing Yes, Juliet, and then of course, most people are going to know Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne, and when you watch this, folks, check out what they did with Randy Rhoads' solo. This is beautiful what they did with the guitar solo interpretation. And then we have Mo Better Blues. So we're going to put together a montage, drop that in right here. Check this out, folks, and see a little bit more about what these kids are up to with Diane and Kelsey. video gives you all a little bit more of an idea of what this program does. And what comes to my mind as someone that's been in music for a very long time, but also on the business side is involved in putting together many different types of events, is that, Diane, a lot of work must go into that. I mean, how many kids total are typically in the program at one time, on average, would you say?
Well, in our advanced and beginners and our steel combined, we usually take all 3 groups on the road when we gig. There's around 50 kids in that, and then we've got a Leopard Light program. It's an experience group. They just rehearse once a week, and it's kind of like summer camp all year long with them, and they perform at our big gig that we have coming up in April, and there's maybe 45 kids in that.
Okay.
So we have a mess of kids running through our space every week.
And typically, how many pieces of music might cycle through and be performed in, say, the course of even just the summer camp alone?
Well, in the summer camp, what we do with we have 2 weeks of summer camp. 1 week is kids we don't know and that are new to the program, and the second week is our Leopard group.
Okay.
The first week, it's just experience, how to play the instruments, and then they play different beats on the drum set. They learn a rock beat, a swing beat, and maybe a funk beat. And then in my group, we all compose a blues tune. I just teach them the structure of blues, and then as a group, we compose a song.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's for me, because I don't have to have anything prepared. We make it up as we go. But Leopard Week, we pick out, like, we knew we were going to do Zeppelin. So Leopard Week, we concentrated on how to play rock beats, just the feel of the song. We learned parts of I think we learned all of Kashmir at Leopard at camp, and then we learned the other 2 later. But we also learned a song called Shrimp and Gumbo. Is that Shrimp and Gumbo? I always forget the name. Shrimp and Gumbo, that our friend Dan Dorff, he's out of Cincinnati, he's in Mukabaza and plays in a bunch of different groups around town. He came and taught us that one, and that's just so we learned 2 songs at camp.
Okay.
So.
Well, what I see is that this is a lot of work. I mean, 50 kids being taught or doing anything, in one given program is a lot. Are there any? I mean, there must be other key people that help with all this besides yourself and Kelsey, right? I mean, I hope.
Oh yes.
Do you want to give them a quick shout out and just briefly say what their title represents and how they fit in?
Okay, Brittany Lee is an assistant director. She started in the group when she was 7. And am I allowed to say how old they all are?
Yeah, that's up to you. It's fine with us.
Okay. Brittany started when she was 7, and she's 29 now.
Okay.
We have Bryce McGuffey. He's one of our teachers. He's our newest teacher. He started when he was 7, and he's 20 now.
Okay.
He's in college. He's a jazz studies major.
Great.
And then Meg Samples. She was never a Leopard when she was a little girl, but she fit in perfectly with what we're doing. She's a graduate of the University of Louisville in the Jazz Studies program, so she's got the jazz background, and that the way you learn jazz is very close to the style that we're teaching the kids. So she fit in perfectly with the group. So without Brittany, Kelsey, Meg, and Price, there's no way I would be able to do this. And I don't take lead on everything. I'm one of the teachers.
Mm-hmm.
They know a lot more about this stuff than I do, so I'll let them do it.
Oh, that's
I don't
great.
have a percussion background, so I don't know the stuff they know.
That's great. Do you take requests?
Well, yes, we take requests.
Okay, whether or not you'll do them is a different thing. But I have a request. I'll just throw it in the mix, and you think about it. But one of my favorite pieces to play on the drums is, and it's actually a specific version of this piece. It's the live version of Emerson, Lake and Palmer playing Tarkus from their Triple Live album from 1973 or 4. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. Tarkus, I could hear and see you folks really cranking out a wonderful rendition of that. So that's Drum Talk TV's request, if that ever comes to be.
I'm singing it in my head.
Yeah.
We could probably. Okay, we'll put that on the list.
Great. And I want to ask each of the kids something, starting with David. What, so far, for each of you, starting with David, say how long you've been a Leopard, and what's the biggest thing you've gotten out of it so far?
Well, I mean, I've been in the group for 5 years now, and I'm in 6th grade.
Okay.
So, and I've gotten music experience out of this. I've gotten lots of new friends. I've got this. I could go on about this. There's really nothing bad about it at all. And
I wasn't implying there was. That's great. Brian, how about you? How long have you been a Leopard, and what have you taken away from it that means the most to you?
Well, I've been a Leopard for 4 years now, and I've really taken away, like David said, a musical experience. And a lot of times with my brother, we debate about this, I think, every day. Since I've learned music through Leopard, so I learned it by hearing, but he's in bands at his schools, so he uses sheet music. So I've kind of brought that new way of learning to my family.
Great. And Honesty, how about yourself?
I've been in Leopards for about 6 years now, and the best thing I've gotten out of this is the bond that I have with my teachers and my friends, because at school or anywhere else, you don't get friends like this that are weird and do all the same stuff as you do. Because at school, everybody does something different, but here we all do the same thing, so we can all relate to each other. And it's just, the bond that I have with all my friends and teachers.
That's great. Raina, how about you? How long have you been a Leopard, and what's been the most meaningful thing that you've gotten out of going through the program?
I've been Leopards for almost 4 years now, and everything in Leopards is good, but I meet new people that I never would have known, and everybody's weird. Everybody's so different that it's so interesting, and you feel like you can be more free and be who you are more in this group than anywhere else.
That's great. And there's nothing more important than being able to be who you are, because that's what we're all best at. I've got that down, For me to try to be something else is just too much work, and we shouldn't have to be. So that's great. And Kelsey, I think I know what your answer is going to be, but I got to ask it anyways, if you could chime in the same way. How long have you been, associated with the Leopards, and what have you gotten out of it the most?
I have been part of the Leopards for about 21 years. And, you take away something new every day. These kids are just so fun to be around. They teach me things that I don't even know about. These kids are just incredible to work with. And I'm so full of joy to be able to call this a job that I have, and that I can do this every day.
That's great. Now, I want to remind everybody that's watching that the Louisville Leopard Percussionists, the organization, is a nonprofit organization, and a nonprofit organization does not mean that it's supposed to not have money. That's not what nonprofit means. It's simply basically a tax status, if you will, and a little more than that. But I want to encourage everybody, if this inspires you, if you have a few extra dollars and you like to donate and help them with their programs, I'm sure it could help them in many different ways. On this interview page on our website, you'll see links to their website, their social media. The website's actually on the screen right now as well, but you'll also see where it can be led to the page where you can donate. And Diane, because you're a 501(c), that would be a tax-deductible donation, correct?
Yep, we'll send you a letter. You can use it on your taxes. And it really does help us out, because these kids, they pay tuition on a sliding scale. Their parents pick how much they're going to pay every month, because we don't want anybody not to be able to be in the group just because they can't pay for it. So,
right.
But you're right. We do need some help, just to give as many kids as possible a great musical experience.
Yeah, and I know that, whenever you're watching this episode, whether it's right after it's released or whether it's 2 years from now, I know that money's always tight at times, but it always feels so good to just give even just a few dollars for something, especially if you know where it's going, because we don't always do. But if you know where it's going and what it's being used for, and Diane, if you don't mind, now that everybody does know more about the program And thank you for all you kids, and Kelsey for talking about what you've gotten out of it. Diane, tell everybody, what are some of the things that the funding would help?
Well, summer camp, hiring our teachers for summer camp, because we try to bring in teachers that they don't learn from all year, besides us. Danny Markham is an alumni. She plays with the Tune Yards, and she comes in and teaches summer camp. She couldn't last year. She was in Europe or something like that, but she'll come and teach. Hannah Ford was a Leopard when she was a little
right.
She was playing with Prince. So when she can fit it in, it's been a while since we've seen her, but when she can make it, she'll teach summer camp. And so summer camp, it helps us get through summer camp. Also, giving these kids experiences when people come to town, if we could get them to come in and do a clinic, we can pay them a little bit for that. Mm-hmm. And taking them on trips. They love going on trips. I like to go to schools and play for other kids just to show them what kids can do.
Yeah.
I want to take more opportunities to play at universities to show music ed kids the way you're being taught to teach music works. That's a proven method. But look at this, because this works too.
Yeah.
So you might want to try some of this out too. And also, we've got regular things to pay for. Like, we have to pay the bills. You might notice in some of our videos, kids are wearing coats because we don't put the heat on very often because it's expensive. So,
well, plus they're just kids. I mean,
right? They don't mind playing with their coats on.
Well, and there's stuff. There's pens. There's the internet. There's marketing. There's operational things. It's just like any other business that needs capital to operate on. So anybody out there, if you're inspired and you can help, please help. What we would like to do is come out there and film a special on the premises and do something very special, kind of a documentary sort of film. So we'll talk about doing something like that. I'll talk to you about...
That would be great.
Yeah, we would love to do that. And also, if you email me the shirt sizes of all of you right there, I'll send you a official Drum Talk TV shirt, and I'll pick out a funny saying for each of you, so it'll all be a surprise. And I've got one other surprise for you. I may have to put my glasses on for this. And by the way, folks, at drumtalktv.com/shop, that's where you can get all our goofy shirts that we have. But I have a signed drum head by a lot of Drum Talk TV guests that I'd like to donate. And if you want to auction it, if you want to put on eBay, if you want to, generate some funds with it, if you want to hang it in your practice room, whatever you want to do with it, you're more than welcome to. But this has been signed by people like Carmine Appice, Mark Portnoy, Nick Menza, Stuart Copeland, Mark Schulman, let's see, Ian Pace of Deep Purple, Cello Eduardo, who's currently with Remo, an amazing Latin artist. A lot of Ricky Rocket. In fact, it's a Ricky Rocket drum head. This thing was worth $50,000, but then I made the mistake of signing it. It's worth like $10 now. Just kidding. So we'll go ahead and send this to you as well. And folks, go to the links that are on this page and check out all their other work. It's beautiful music. It really, really is. The steel drum piece that we cut in from, go watch the whole performance of that. Watch all the performances. And I was looking at the wrong camera there for a minute. And be sure to stay tuned and find out when we are going to go out there and film a special, and watch for that. And poke around drumtalktv.com for all kinds of other interviews with your favorite artists, educators, and manufacturers of drum gear, and follow us on the Facebook page. And thank you for watching Drum Talk TV, the heartbeat of the global drumming community. And thank you all for joining us. Diane, Kelsey, Odyssey, Raina, Brian, and David, thank you very much. And thank you for watching. We'll see you soon.